Good afternoon, gentlemen and gentle not men. This afternoon I would like to assemble the Phasor kit from ReactiveMicro. The Phasor is a sound card for the Apple II series of computers. The Phasor is kind of like a Mockingbird with more voices. The Mockingbird uses an AY3 891 sound chip, which is a 3-voice synthesis chip. It's not a sampling chip, but it allows you to very roughly define the waveform that's being produced. It's kind of like Tandy audio, but a little bit better. And the Mockingbird uses 2 of those chips for a total of 6 voices. The Phasor uses 4 of those chips for a total of 12 voices. But as far as I know, the only software for the Apple II, other than some dedicated music composition software and stuff like that, that actually takes advantage of more than 6 of those voices is Ultima 5, which only uses 9 of the 12 voices, I think. Anyway, so the kit contains the board, all the chips, all the sockets, and all the capacitors and cables and stuff and things that we need to make it happen. So let's I thought it contained some documentation too, but I guess not. Perhaps that is on the internet. I shall look. So there are 2 PLDs in the kit, 2 GAL 16V8 PLDs, U9 and U10. They're not labeled, so don't unpack everything and then mix them up. I chose to go ahead and stick labels on top of them so that I could keep them straight. Now, now you can see here that everything on the board is labeled with a value, so you don't really need any instructions, I guess. Everything's through hull. It's just a matter of starting at the lowest profile components and working your way up to the highest profile components. So I guess we'll solder the resistors first, and then move on to the ceramic capacitors. If there are, yeah, there's a few ceramic capacitors, or maybe they're tantalum capacitors. No, I think those are ceramic capacitors. And then we'll move on to some of the ICs, and then we'll put the electrolytics on last. So my first impression before even starting is that this is a very well put together kit. The circuit board is very well designed, everything is labeled, greatly reduces the chances of making a mistake in assembly, and all of the parts, Henry must bag these himself separately. I'm kind of surprised. I figured, you know, there'd just be a bunch of resistors in a bag and a bunch of capacitors in a bag, etc., like most kits are, but it's actually very well sorted out. I don't think there's anything to be too scared of if you want to build one of these. It all seems pretty straightforward. So let's just start putting resistors into this thing and see what we can do. Alright, so in case you were wondering what was going on, I accidentally soldered shut one of the holes for these diodes and had to get my desoldering gun and suck the solder out of that hole a little while ago. So that's what I was doing with that. Now, there's a 74 LS02, that's a 2-input NOR gate on here, and a 74 LS 245 bus transceiver down here. And those are pretty basic ICs, so I just went ahead and soldered them straight to the board. I'm going to socket everything else, including the operational amplifier, because just in case I hook the thing up to the wrong impedance input on something and blow the op amp out, I'm going to socket it just in case. But if you don't have a desoldering gun and you're following along this video as you're building your own, why, you probably ought to just go ahead and socket these, because without one of those desoldering guns, it's a huge pain in the ass to desolder these if you accidentally cook one of them. Here's a couple of things. These blue capacitors, these are Nichicon capacitors. It's very high quality capacitor. Now these 225 microfarad capacitors like these here, these are Shenzhen capacitors, and that sounded a little too Chinese to me, so I thought maybe I'd replace them with some of my, I think they're Panasonics that I've got up there, but the smallest 220 microfarad capacitors I've got are 35 volt, and they'd have been so damn tall that I decided not to use them. So I guess if these go bad at some point, I can just replace them. But Henry has really made a very quality product here, so I can't imagine that he would include substandard capacitors with the kit, considering the quality of everything else. So maybe these are a decent brand of Chinese capacitor, I don't know. But hopefully it'll be fine. I guess we'll see here in 5 or 10 years if they start going bad. One other thing, the polarity of this electrolytic capacitor right here is opposite from the other three. I almost soldered that one in backwards, but I caught it at the last minute and turned it around. So if you're following along and assembling your own, well, double check that capacitor right there and make sure you've got it in the right way. Well, there we are. These two sockets are empty. Those are for the speech synthesizer chips. I don't think the originals came with them. I know the Mockingbird came with sockets for them, but also didn't come with them. So I thought about not even putting the sockets in there, because I'll never put speech chips in the thing, but I went ahead and just soldered them in there for completeness. So I haven't I forgot to solder half of my IC sockets. I'll have to go back and do that. Of course, now everything's plugged in, but I guess that's alright. Lord, I swear to Pete. I guess that's what happens when you don't pay attention, right? But anyway, I'll have to finish soldering it and scrub all the flux off of the back here. But yeah, it was a fairly easy kit to build. I'm just very impressed by the quality of the kit in general. It's got these high quality machined IC sockets, Nichicon capacitors most places. I'm still a little dubious about these, but I didn't have any to replace them with. Gold plated edge connector. I mean, the engineering on the board is just really good too. It's very professional. We, and by we I mean the Apple II community, we're very lucky to have Henry making this kind of stuff available to us. It'll be a sad day when he retires, and our community will be weaker when it happens. But yeah, thanks, Henry. Excellent thing. So, alright, that looks a little more complete now, doesn't it? Durr. Alright, so I've been trying to do a little bit of troubleshooting here. I attached those wires there so it would be easier to plug in the internal speaker. You can see here it's running Adventure Construction Set on an enhanced Apple IIe. That's an enhanced motherboard in a non-enhanced case, but yeah. And it sounds as decent as can be expected through the internal speaker. It is a little bit noisy. I don't know. But note here in this silent part there, you can't hear any electrical noise over the speaker. Right? So it's working fine in the 2E. Now this is where I've been troubleshooting. Let's try this thing in the 2GS. I'll be right back. Alright, so now we're going to start up the 2GS. Alright, hear how it sounds overdriven? Now listen to all that electrical noise on the speaker. That's not disk drive noise, that's electrical noise coming over the speaker. There's no disk drive connected, just the floppy, you know. But it almost sounds to me like the op amps being overdriven by the other stuff on the board. Like maybe I messed up some resistor values or something, but I was very careful about that when I assembled it. So I've tried this in two different 2GS's and they're both very noisy, and it doesn't matter which expansion cards I have installed or where they are. I've moved the VidHD between slots 1 and 3 and it doesn't make any difference. I've tried two different power supplies in this machine. You'll notice I'm not using the one with the fan on it because the fan is incredibly electrically noisy on this thing. It's picking up some funk from somewhere. I don't know why it would be so much noisier in the 2GS than in the 2E. Well, it doesn't look like anything's clipping on the headphone output there. I don't know, man. Well, I couldn't get music working in Ultima 4, but maybe it's just the cheesy cracked version I've got. But, it's working in Ultima 3, and it sounds the way I remember. I didn't have Ultima 4 back in the day, but I played the shit out of this on an Apple IIe with a Mockingbird. ages ago. No, it does sound muddier. Yeah, that thing, there's something wrong. It's overdriving the op amp. I can't, all of the waveforms on the oscilloscope look fine. I can't tell that anything's clipping, but maybe it's not overdriving anything. Maybe it's just electrical noise from the board interfering, from the digital section of the board interfering with the analog section of the board, or I don't know, man. Sometimes it sounds fine. And then, like right there, those high notes, they've got a bunch of shit in them or something. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I guess I'll ask around on some forums and see what I can learn. Pardon me. I guess it's fine. Maybe I'll mess with these resistor values right here and try to turn the volume down a little bit. The revision 1 of this had variable resistors there, where those left and right channels are labeled, but this one's hardwired. Maybe I'll try putting some pots in there instead. Or something, I don't know. Anyway, in closing, why do we need a sound card like this in an Apple IIgs? Well, right here, exactly. Apple IIe software, non-2GS software, old school Apple II software. This game wouldn't have any music on the 2GS. It doesn't support the 2GS's sound system, so the Mockingbird / Phasor / whatever gives us that. Yay. So I gotta take care of that noise somehow, though. It just doesn't sound good. Anywho, thanks for watching. See you later.